Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video. Today I wanted to take just a few minutes to talk about what the heck is torrefied wood, or what is torrefaction. I feel like it's been kind of a trendy thing in recent years where guitar companies torrefy the top wood of their acoustic guitars. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit of what torrefaction is, or what torrefied wood is, the process of how it's made, and we'll do a little bit of a deep dive with that, and also just talk about my guitar here that happens to have torrefied wood for the top wood or the soundboard. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Now if you haven't already, please take just 2 seconds to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. So what is torrefied wood? What is the torrefaction process? This is my Orangewood Hudson, and it does have torrefied wood for the top. So what is torrefied wood? It's basically artificially aged wood. Now, how does the torrefaction process work for these types of woods for guitars? So how it works is basically the wood goes into a kiln, and a kiln is basically a very advanced oven, if you will, where the wood is baked or roasted, and it goes into this kiln that is oxygen free. There's no oxygen because if there were oxygen, I'm sure you could guess what would happen to the wood. It'd catch on fire. And so basically the sheets of wood go into this kiln that is oxygen free, and it bakes in there for usually anywhere from about 20 to 24 hours. And like I said, the kiln is oxygen free, so it doesn't ignite on fire or anything. So during the torrefaction process, the intense heat basically cooks off any of the moisture, the sap, the volatile oils in the wood, while at the same time crystallizing the sap. The result is a top wood that is instantly lighter, stiffer, and more resistant to humidity, perfectly mimicking the resonant tone of a guitar that has naturally been aging for 50 or more years. And so the basic premise and the whole point of it is that you're artificially aging this wood within a matter of hours, compared to wood on a guitar that naturally ages 50 plus years. So essentially you're trying to age a guitar top and make it sound the same in comparison to another guitar that is just naturally aged for 50 plus years. Like, you know, your 19 pre-war Martins, your pre-war Gibsons that are from the early 1900s, that type of vintage sound. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to artificially replicate that vintage tone, that warmth, that sound that some of those naturally aging guitars have. So that's the whole point of torrefaction, and why a lot of current guitar companies and current guitar brands are using torrefied wood, is because they're trying to speed up and artificially age the top wood so that you can get, if you want, that vintage warmth, that vintage sound, if you will. So that's the whole idea behind it. Now, how long does this process normally take? So the actual baking process of torrefied wood usually takes between 20 and 24 hours, but there's a whole nother process involved rather than just the baking or roasting process of the wood. So for weeks before the baking process, they have to get the wood prepared, they have to dry it out, get it ready to go into the kiln. And then you have the actual baking process where the wood goes into the kiln. And then after they take it out, there's another several days to weeks process of where they're steaming the wood and slowly bringing the temperature and the humidity levels back down to a normal RH level and a normal temperature level for the wood, so that the craftsmen or the luthiers can actually work with it. So in other words, you can't just take it right out of the oven and go to town with using the wood for making a guitar. You have to wait, because as you probably know, wood is biologically active, and what that means is, depending on the environment, it either absorbs or repels moisture. And so that's the reason they have to be very careful, and it's a slow, patient process. Now is I'll do some A-B playing of this guitar, as well as another guitar that I have, which is a Larrivee. Unfortunately, it's not a dreadnought, so it's not strictly apples to apples comparison. But the other guitar that I do have, it's a Larrivee, and it has the same wood. So it's got spruce top, mahogany back and sides. And here, I'll show you real quick this guitar so you can see just what it looks like for the back and sides here. And like I said, this is Torrefied Spruce for the top and mahogany back and sides. The Larrivee that I have that I'll play, the other guitar that I'll play that I'll do the A/B testing with, it's a Larrivee LV-03, and it also has spruce, but it's not Torrefied Spruce for the top. So it has spruce for the top wood and mahogany back and sides. So again, the Larrivee that I have, it's not a dreadnought, but it is that Grand Auditorium size. So there might be, let me know in the comments, I could be wrong, but I think the actual volume, the air space in the guitar is pretty similar from the Grand Auditorium to the Dreadnought. It might be a little smaller on the Grand Auditorium, but that's the only other guitar that I have currently in my collection that is maybe somewhat close to the size or volume of this guitar with similar woods. But I thought it'd be a neat comparison to hear what it sounds like with Torrefied Spruce on top for the guitar and another guitar that does not have Torrefied Spruce for the top. Also, I did want to mention that I am using today for my pick, I'm using a Blue Chip TPR 50. Here, I'll try to show it to you guys. Hopefully it'll show up on the camera. These picks are awesome, by the way. Quick side note, I love this pick. I got this back in, I want to say around the December, January timeframe. It's currently March, beginning of March 2026. And yeah, I did another video about Blue Chip where Blue Chip picks where I deep dive a little bit into the specifications of how they're made and all that good stuff. So check out that video. I'll try to put a link to it somewhere or maybe down in the description. I definitely recommend these picks. They're great picks, especially if you're into the bluegrass or flat picking world. I'll go ahead and start off on my Orangewood. I'll do a little bit of picking and a little bit of chord progressions with them, some of that type of stuff. And I'll switch back and forth between guitars for each type of playing, so you can kind of hear a back and forth of what each one sound like. Thank you guys again for tuning in to watch this video. Hopefully this has educated you just maybe a little bit more on what torrefied wood is and if it might be something that you're interested in. If you haven't already, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.